thought I would start the end of August garden tour in the garage because I've got a big wedding tomorrow. So I've already cut a load of flowers, and also other people have taken away flowers, and I've done bouquets this week. And it's just to show you how much is still left in the garden, but there has been a lot of change since July when I last did this. So it's August the 26th, pretty much end of August. So here we go. So I thought I'd start by showing you a couple of things on the patio. Some pretty spectacular hanging baskets using phlox, creme brulee, cherry caramel, and also blushing bride. But they're really effective, and of course they smell amazing, so it's a win-win. And the other thing that's looking fairly spectacular are my agapanthus, which everybody says, "Oh, are they so enormous?" And I have no idea. They came from my mother-in-law's garden. I can't remember them being this big there either. These are in pots. Okay, let's start where we normally start. The other thing I like to use is old wheelbarrows, which I jam full of lots of leftover plants. So it's always looking pretty pretty. Okay, so starting from the top of the garden as usual, the apple mint is still going strong, and using the netting was certainly a good move, but clearly I need a double layer of netting because this would normally happen at ground level. So instead of just going over at ground level, it's gone over where the netting is. So it makes it pretty tricky to use. So note to self that I maybe need to use higher netting. Okay, so I've got my foxgloves in. Can't remember if those were in last month or not. Need a little bit of a quick hoe through there. The cornflower, which was sown on the 9th of June. And planted out, all went really well, and they are now flowering, and I'm actually using some of these in the flowers this weekend, and I've actually interplanted with foxglove too. So same here, cornflower and foxglove, and another layer of foxglove. So fingers crossed we'll get a nice display of foxgloves here, where the sweet williams were this year. So I sowed all my biennials quite early this year, not intentional, just the way the timings worked out. So this is my dry bed, which I never know what to do with, and where I put in all my bits and pieces. So a little bit of zinnia, a little bit of statice, the linaria is self-sown, a bit of thalaspi self-sown, some corn marigold, anyway, all sorts of bits and pieces. Oh, and a sunflower. So nothing particularly special in this little patch here. And then moving around to the main part of the garden, again, an awful lot of change. So managed to get a little bit of a tidy up. Nothing like an open garden to get you to pull your finger out a bit. So although it does still look quite autumnal, it's a lot tidier, apart from one or two beds, than it was. Not that that really matters, but it just helps plants breathe as well when they have a little bit of space. But the main things to show you, as usual, are down the middle, and obviously in the orchard where the dahlias are. And let's start over here. So this was direct sown nigella, sown on 7th and 9th of June. And it's just started flowering this week. We've had a little bit more warmth this week, so it's just started flowering. And the same with this Gypsophila Covent Garden, that was sown at the same time. end of June, so we are now end of August, so it's just a bit of a note to self about how long it does take from sowing to flowering, and then it's just that's left over from the March sowing there. And then you'll notice quite a lot of change. A lot of things have come out, and I've planted up my biennials. So let's start on the left-hand side. So I've got my Daucus in, some Sweet Williams in. This replaced Larkspur was there, and oh my word, I can't even remember what was there now. I think that was Larkspur as well, 2 beds of Larkspur. The Snapdragons, still picking through those, getting a little bit smaller, but we're still getting the odd nice big one. So they're staying for a little bit longer. Haven't got anything to put in there just yet anyway. And the Phlox Blushing Bride, which has filled up a space, is now starting to come into its own. Bit of leftover status. This is all leftovers in this little bed here. And then the cornflowers have finally been replaced by Sweet William. And on the other side, I've still got some clary sage, which I cut back, and I've got some few bits and pieces which I think I might dry there and put in flower crowns this weekend. And more Sweet William. This calendula needs to come out. Amazing how long it's still going. It's got some poppies that's popped up there as well. And the scabious as well has been pretty good. I've got some sleeping bumblebees on my scabious there. So everything is definitely slowing down with these cool mornings and losing the light now as well. It was dark by 9 o'clock last night. Remarkably, the sweet peas are still going, and the cobia is flowering in places as well. Okay, let's start to the left of the sweet peas. So I cut all the Rudbeckia that were flowering for a wedding yesterday. Anyway, but there's a few left. So this is Sahara, they're a little bit short, and I've also got cherry brandy in here. And then the Hesperus, they are in too, but the pesky caterpillars are having a lovely time. I keep having to come down and monitor and throw them over the hedge. So yeah, you can see they're being well and truly munched in places. This second lot was actually put in later, so that is why that is a little bit smaller. I have done some direct sowing of some Ami here actually. So yeah, that's all. I've got 3 lines of Ami. The zinnias are looking great. We've got a wasp's nest in the corner, so I'm being quite cautious around here. So this is Coral Beauty. And then we've got some giant dahlia mix, which are all red. I'm hardly using any of those. And to the right of the arch, the Cynoglossum, that had a bit of a second flush as well, but I'm saving this for the seed. I found that when I saved the seed from the Cynoglossum, and it's pretty much there in places, I got a much better germination. This crop of Phlox Cherry Caramel has been really good. I interplanted this with my ranunculus. Whether that was why, it just got in the ground earlier, or it likes it here, don't know. But anyway, that's great. I've got a bed all prepared and ready to do some direct sowing. I'm thinking of putting my Phacelia in here. Now, I do have on my sweet pea arch while we're here, the flowers and the cobia are not exactly easy to spot, but when you do spot them, it's kind of a beautiful moment. They are absolutely stunning. And as for the seed pods, goodness me, I'll show you those in a moment. So beside the bed, that's the corncockle will come out here, were pulled out from here. I don't know if that's corncockle seedlings or if that's just weed seedlings, who knows. And yeah, some more snapdragons. Sweet He's still looking really nice. So look at this for a seed pod. That's the cobia seed pod. So the seed, when the flower goes, you get this lovely kind of seed head here, and then look at these. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so walking on through to the few more annual beds. So these normally have the allium in the spring. So the Daucus is fairly dinky, although there were some taller ones which I've cut. The bells of Ireland looking pretty good. Been using those quite a lot, a bit short, but they're fine. And on the other side, the Nicotiana Tinkerbell. I am finding it a bit sticky to use, so I'm not using that so much at the moment. And Cosmos and some Amaranthus here as well, which I'm using. And then on the other side, more bits and pieces, and I've managed to get my Honesty planted. Again, it's been hammered by the caterpillars. If I look carefully, I'll probably see one. Yes, I'm just trying to pick those off and throw them over the hedge. And then the rest of the perennials. Ooh, might nab a raspberry on the way down. And then the rest of the perennials are starting to look a little bit tired. So I've been very happy with my Thalaspi. It is very happily self-seeding everywhere, very useful. Oblongata, Euphorbia looking a bit sad, Astrantia looking a bit sad, Echinops looking lovely. And then the Gypsophila paniculata, very useful. Achillea's gone over now. Gooseneck loosestrife, still got the odd nice one, but quite a few are starting to go over now. A lovely lot of frosted explosion, panicum frosted explosion grass. I picked a lot of that yesterday, so that's looking good now. Which I just popped in a spare space. The Echinops, I've just cut all that for the wedding tomorrow. A few Shasta daisies there. And then in the greenhouse, I've just started doing a few annuals. Pricked some out. These were only sown on the 17th of August. They've germinated and they've been pricked out. So that is just 11 days ago, isn't it? And then these have just germinated, which was sown on the 21st. So and these have just been in the greenhouse to germinate. Usually I bring things in the house to germinate, but anyway, so they were 5 days ago, and that is cornflower blackball. And more of the perennials. So the sedum's just starting to show colour now. A few penstemon here. The seed heads of the Veronica are pretty good. Biddens I have not managed to get rid of. I've failed. It's very pretty, but it's just taking over because I really want to give the catanunch here a bit of space. So that's the white, and then we've got the blue, and there's just a few bits of status at the front. Verbena bonariensis, of course, looking lovely now. A bit of sea lavender squished in the middle there, and then the rest of the Achillea definitely over. Achillea double diamond, and then there's just a few quite nice pale Achilleas, but the rest are just starting to go over, although it depends on the colour scheme. You can still use some of these. Okay, let's go down and see the dahlias. Okay, so although I've picked a load of these dahlias, there's still an awful lot left. Didn't want to use many of the dark red ones. Quite a lot of preference left. Honker. So they're really coming into their own now. I think everybody's found the dahlias really late. Some Diva. Strawberries and cream. Honesta. Wizard of Oz. Oh, I didn't spot those. So actually I've got tons here. I always worry about whether I'm going to have enough of things, and then there's just loads left over. So yeah, I did pick a load of labyrinth yesterday, so that was absolutely covered in labyrinth flowers. White aster, real useful one. And then up this side, mainly dried flowers apart from this bed, or flowers for drying apart from this bed, which is more phlox. I obviously had a lot of phlox. I think it could have done with a bit more sort of, it feels a bit crowded out with the dahlias. It's been quite short, this lot of phlox. So this April sown statice is just starting to flower now, which is quite useful because the other has been flowering for quite a long time, but you just keep cutting it just seems to keep coming back. So different colours of statice here. I just shoved in those that monarda in there. I'd been stunted in pots for ages. I just thought I'd take out the larkspur and put that in, ready for the open garden, which was a couple of weeks ago now. Helichrysum, using those fresh and dried. Cut a lot of these, particularly the pink ones, yesterday. The monarda bee balm is great, and I'm using this xeranthemum for dried things more than fresh, just cutting lots of those every day. Let's have a look at the sunflowers. Okay, so robins are keeping me company this morning. Very autumnal sound, isn't it? Robins. Okay, so the vanilla ice sunflowers looking great. And I've got a bed of cosmos here, rather enormous. And then this is quite a nice sunflower, the new hybrids, I believe it's called. Quite a nice colour at this time of year. Okay, so that's about it for the end of August garden tour and how things have changed. So that's it for the end of August garden tour, just to show you the change in the garden over the last month. I hope you've enjoyed it, and look forward to doing another one at the end of September. What a thought!